Crosby. You watch that game last night and you see his style, and I know Sully described it after the game. Can you describe maybe best the style that this team plays, both with Sid and Gino in the lineup and out of the lineup? And does it change much? Did we see that style last night? Is that the ideal style this team needs to play to be victorious?
I would say yes, certainly when you're undermanned. So we're down a couple guys due to injury, a couple guys due to COVID, and I thought our team responded by playing a structurally sound game with maximum effort, and I think that's what we have to do to be successful. I think every team, at the end of the day, unless you rely purely on skill, and there aren't many teams good enough to do that, you have to rely on your structure to have success, and you have to work hard, and we did both those things.
Brian, when you talked about knives and gunfights and all that stuff last spring, was Brian Boyle the kind of weapon you were envisioning showing up to the gunfight with?
Yeah, Brian's not a fighter.
No.
Just a big-bodied guy. I mean, he threw a pretty big body check last night. I mean, you can't teach someone to be 6'8" or whatever he is. It's something that we can't teach young players. They've either got to be that size or not. But I think his sheer size and his ability to get in the way is definitely a factor in our favor, and I like that line. I thought that entire line together was good.
Brian, maybe the best thing that Ron Hextall has done and how he managed to do it, maybe you can take us inside a little bit, but to get Jeff Carter to come here, we knew he was a great player at one point. I had no idea that he'd still be as great as he is at his age now, and he did it again last night.
Yeah, that's Sexy's best trade since he got here. And mind you, he hasn't made a lot of trades. I don't want to. I could hear some smartass in the background say, "Yeah, he's only made a couple." The fact of the matter is, that was a great pickup, and it took some persuasion. He actually focused on Jeff Carter early on in the process. This is a player who a year ago had said if he'd been traded, he would have retired. His wife is from Harrisburg, going back, and so he started working on Jeff Carter very early. His first reaction was, "Nah, I'm not sure I want to go anywhere." Next thing you know, he wanted to come here. He's been terrific for us.
Brian Burke joining us here, Fan Morning Show. Now, Tristan Jarry was good last night, and fans will say, well, it's going to take time for me because of the playoffs or whatever. Is the front office feel differently, and as soon as he came back, he was back on it for you, and there was full trust in him? Or is there an evolution of, okay, he needs to show us something throughout this season?
No, I think it's all of the above. I think, Colin, I think it's fair to say people are waiting to see how Tristan Jarry bounces back. We have a little different view on it, which is this guy's big. He's extremely gifted. He's talented and very athletic. He's a great kid, and he's been a star virtually every level he's played at. He was a star in the American League. Before that, he was a star in the Western Hockey League. So we believe in this kid. Now, did he have a great playoff last summer? No, he did not. But that's not uncommon for young players. I could give you a list of goaltenders that started off with poor first and second times out. And we believe in Tristan Jarry, and we believe he'll be fine. Last night he was fine. The one goal I'd like to have back, the second goal was a puck handling mistake, but not getting beaten by a shot so much as a miscommunication between Chris Letang and Jars as far as handling a dump in. So that led to the second goal, but other than that, I thought he was sharp. I thought he had to make some big saves. I mean, that's a good team that we played last night.
Brian, how seriously did you and Ron and the rest of the organization consider this past offseason a veteran goaltending complement to Tristan that has some playoff experience?
No, not very much. No, to make full disclosure and be perfectly honest, people throw stuff at you all the time. So to say that we never looked at another goaltender, that would be false. But I think Jars knows it was never a priority for us, and it's never something we went looking for. There's a big difference. If you're a player and your name's going to come up from time to time, that's part of life. You want to be a professional athlete, your name's going to come up from time to time. But where a team's making a concerted effort to replace you, that's a different story. That's when goaltenders get concerned. And I think Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith knew that, okay, there's going to be chatter, because there always is, but there's no determined effort to replace anybody here.
Was Fleury one of those things thrown at you guys?
No, his name came up from time to time, but frankly, no, it's not in our cap universe, and not something we spend a lot of time on. And if I said yes, it's tampering, so no. No, it didn't.
Look at that. Look at that skill, the way he waffle boards it away. Nicely played.
Yeah, nice save. Kick save and a beaut, Berkey. You mentioned the COVID thing, and Gensel and Aston Reese are in the protocol. All your players are vaccinated, and I know that Sully had said after I think it was the preseason game against Detroit, that you guys were really going to, you're going to have to look at everything again. What have you guys looked at in terms of what you can do better in that regard? Because it seems like you've done just about everything you can.
Well, we are all double vaccinated, but so is Vegas, and Vegas has had 5 guys in the protocol 2 days ago. Fact of the matter is we're going to have to live with this virus for a long time. And the double vaccination will prevent serious symptoms and serious illness, but it's not going to stop you from contracting COVID as a virus. So we've got to deal with it. The notion is that whatever we were doing before, because we were being pretty careful anyway, we have to do more. So to go back more like when I first got here last February, we were going through, absolutely no outside contact. So it was, okay, you come to the rink, you go home, you go to the rink, you travel with the team in a sanitized aircraft, you don't have any contact with the public, nothing. You play, you go home, and that's it. And what's crept into it, because Pittsburgh's basically wide open, is, okay, I'm going to stop and get groceries, or I need to get gas, or I can stop at a restaurant and get a quick bite to eat. And that's where we're finding out, not the Penguins. That's where teams are finding out. That's where the contamination is taking place. We're not as diligent as we were, and we've just all agreed we're going to be a little more diligent.
Last thing for you before we let you go. Actually, a couple more things. Brian Burke joining us here, president of Hockey Ops. I looked last night, first game out of the chute, bang, Letang, 25 minutes. He played 22 minutes in that preseason game. Are we past the point, though, where we should talk about his ice time and just understand, even as he's getting older, that's not going to decrease, and he's going to be out there a whole lot, and he's just that conditioned he can still do it?
Well, he's a freak. He's a conditioning freak, Chris Letang. He can play minutes, and, mind you, his partner's a pretty good player. That's part of the reason that pair got big minutes, is because Dumoulin's a pretty good player as well. That's a really good first pair for us. So I don't think the coaches want that pair to be up there in those minutes as a matter of course. But I think sometimes a game goes that way, and you're going to end up with minutes distributed like that. And obviously, he's been a special player in our league for a long time.
Brian, it's way off in the distance, but that 3-week break in February, you'll have a handful of guys that go off to China to play in the Olympics. You'll have a lot of guys back here. It's nice to get the Olympic visibility, obviously, but then if you guys are rolling, for example, you won 5 of 6 going into that stretch, you've got to all of a sudden stop the momentum and stop the ride. Are you looking forward to that, or is it just something you got to deal with?
Well, it's not optional. I mean, to be honest with you guys, it's from a business standpoint, if the 10 of us sat in a jury room and said, is this a good idea, we'd all say no. But we decided to go back in 1998 in Nagano to go to the Olympics. We've gone every time since except to Korea, to Pyeongchang, and we've decided to go back as a group. I think the value of playing in those Olympic Games is of immense value to the National Hockey League. And it's very important to our players. So I'm not going to raise my hand and vote that going to Beijing in the dead of winter in the middle of our season makes any sense at all. But we've elected to go. We're going to go. Now, big caveat here. Everyone should understand this. There is a provision that allows the NHL to cancel this tournament at any time. And so there's still a big COVID backdrop here that we've got to keep in mind. But as of right now, we're going, and I hope for Sully's sake we get to go. I've been part of 2 Olympic Games on the management teams, and it's a really rarefied atmosphere that you're in playing in the Olympics. So I think it's cool. Could it affect our momentum at a given point in time? Yeah, but that's true. We could be stumbling, too, at that time when we get that break.
I'm right. He got 6 goals last night, so maybe you don't need Sid. But, initially he was supposed to be out, I think, 5 or 6 games it looked like, and now he's on the trip. What are the chances he comes back maybe a little bit sooner than we had expected?
Well, we all, this is growing up Catholic. We're all saying rosaries for this, right? We want him back as soon as we can. The fact of the matter is, it's not a precise science. And I don't think it serves us or anyone on the management team to say, well, yeah, he'll be back in a week or he'll be back because we don't know. He's going to see how it feels. Right now, I think he's several days away for sure. I think he's at least a week away for sure. But that could change tomorrow. So I think giving precise timelines is really dangerous and really not helpful. So When the doctor says he can play and Sid says he can play, then he plays.
Well, you tell that doctor my kid's got tickets Saturday night, so we'd like to see Sid, all right, Brian? That'd be all right.
That far I can go. I don't think you're going to see Sid Saturday night.
All right, there it is. Brian Burke, President of Hockey Operations. Brian, we thank you so very much. We appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great stuff. The bit of news there. Don't think we'll see Sid Saturday.
Yeah.
So there's that. Great stuff from him, though. Man, that stuff about the goalie situation and Fleury and how they feel about Jari right now.
That's you always listen, but you don't tamper, Colin.
Right.
You can't tamper.
That's all more proof that they really all are all in on Jari, at least Burke and Hextall.
Yeah, it is interesting.